Hello, friends. Welcome to Musings by Masha. Today we have a very talented guest joining us for this live conversation on a very exciting topic of seeing tarot through the eyes of an artist. I know I am not alone here in my excitement about this interview with Alejandro R Rozan, who is an incredibly talented artist and illustrator whose art is loved by many in the tarot community. Alejandro is quite known among us in tarot community, but also outside of it, beyond just the tarot. Alejandro is an artist and the creator of these three decks I have, and we'll talk about these decks in detail today. And I am so happy, so thrilled to welcome you, Alejandro, to my channel for the first time for our conversation.
Thank you, Masha, for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here, sharing with you and with all the people that is joining this live interview. Um, I this is one of my favorite things to do, to talk about tarot and to talk about art. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, same.
Talk to
My
you.
favorite things. Yeah, yeah, I'm not good at drawing or anything, but I appreciate art greatly, and I absolutely love theater. Before we get into our conversation, we have quite a few friends that are joining us in the chat, so let's just say hello to them. Jackie was here very early. I saw the message even yesterday popping up. Jackie's Crystal Moon. So thank you so much for sharing as well, for sharing our live, Jackie. Nice to see you here. We have the lovely Jan. Jan is also from Australia. Hi, Jan. Good morning to you. Happy Monday. And Genevieve is here.
Oh, Genevieve, Genevieve. I still don't know how to pronounce it. It's Genevieve. I hope I'm not butchering the.
Genevieve, yeah. Another talented artist, right?
Yes, she is indeed.
Yeah, we have Rolf. Hello, Rolf. Nice to see you here. Spiritual Rain. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Who else did I miss? I'll just want to make sure that I say hello to everyone. Saskia, hello. Thank you for being here. And Sebastian is here as well. Hello, Sebastian. And Brad God Gat. Hello. It's a new person on my channel. All right, so we just said hello, and not to disrupt our conversation, friends in the chat. If you have a question to Alejandro, please type it up. And if it's kind of something with burning question and you want us to highlight it as we go along, please type the question in capitals, and then we'll get back to you with the answer. Well, Alejandro will get back to you with the answer. So another few people. Oh,
Oh, there's Nur Art. She's a friend of mine from Cuba. Hi,
right.
Nur.
Alejito is your nickname, is it? Or more like a softer version of your name?
It's like I don't know. It's like when you call like little children that are called Alejandro. You can call him Ale or Alejito or Alejo. Is Spanish
Yeah,
has a lot of versions of that.
yeah, it's so sweet. Yeah, and hello, Hernan. All right, so let's begin from the very beginning, Alejandro, from your early years in Cuba. So, do you remember when it comes to your art, do you remember how your interest in art and drawing began?
Yes. I think my interest in art and drawing was always there. I remember when I was a child, a little child, like I was like, I don't know, 4, 5, or 6. I'm not very good with remembering things, you know. Like I sometimes confuse my history, my past, and but I'm pretty sure that I mean I know this. I love drawing. I was kind of a weird kid because I was obsessed with churches. I think I told you this before when we were talking. Especially Catholic churches. I mean, all the art, the architecture, the statues, all that made my like inspire my creativity, and I was obsessed with that. and I always wanted to. I drew all the images in the churches. I went to the church, and when the priest was doing the mass and everything, I was I was sitting drawing drawing
Wow.
Jesus Christ and the cross or Virgin Mary. So uh, I think that because of that, because I wanted to take with me a picture of those images, I that developed my interest in drawing. And also because, and I think this is very important, especially when you're a child. Mostly every person around me in my family, or even my friends or people in my neighborhood, they all encouraged me to do it because they saw that I had this interest in drawing. So everyone said that I was very good at it, even though I was not, I think, because I was a child. And that was very important for me because it made me believe that I was an artist. So when I was 7, you asked me what you're gonna do when you grow up. I had it clear. I want to be an artist. I want to be. Oh, well, at that time I said I want to be a painter because I thought a painter was an artist.
Mhm. Amazing. It's so wonderful that your family supported you. And when it comes to the churches, there is so much art in all the churches. But what were you like drawing as a child? Was it more like icons, like paintings in the church that you mimicked, or more the objects that you saw, like statues or like mosaic windows?
Mainly the Baroque statues.
Hmm.
I was obsessed with. Well, if you can see, I have one there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to collect them now. And there's one Jesus Christ in front of me from a church that I bought
Yeah.
from Spain. I think the fact that the eyes of those statues are made out of glass in gave them like a live look, like they were alive looking at you, and all the theatric feeling. I mean, the poses, the clothes, the way there was movement, even
Mm,
though it was wood or stone. I mean, in my head, that was like, oh my god, how something so striking, and also the fact that it is art, but it is sacred. I mean, it's Jesus
mm,
Christ, it's the Virgin Mary, but mainly the statues, but also the paintings, like everything for me, everything in the church, even the doors were art. I mean, I
mm.
didn't really understand the concept behind that, but I knew that it was special, and I feel drawn to it. I don't know why. I cannot explain why. It's the
Yeah.
same that happened to me with tarot cards, but we can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's amazing. I can relate with the status, especially, growing up in Eastern Europe, we didn't really have that many like statues in church. It's mainly like paintings of icons and crosses everywhere. But when I went on my trip recently, 2023 to Italy, I was just mind blown because all the famous artists, well, I love Renaissance period. Most famous artists of those times, they painted for the churches, they decorated ceilings in the churches, and with stages, I actually will send you later on a photo of, again, it's in the church, but it's more like a story of the dying Christ. And those figures, they are human size, terracotta figures, terracotta statues. But you will see, I'll send you a picture later on. They're just so expressive. You just feel what they feel. There's so much like sorrow and grief there. Yeah, so I can relate to what you're saying there. And yeah, it's just wonderful that your early inspiration was the what you saw in church. But later on, so like you started at around like age of 7, right, with drawing what you've seen in church, and you were so impressed. But later on, as you kind of went to school and developed your I guess artistic skills, or what you wanted to draw, what else were your like main inspirations? What other drawings that you remember that you did in the childhood or your school years?
Well, before answering the question, I want to point out that I also like the icons. I remember there was because in the churches in Cuba, you don't get to see icons. You don't really get to see them. Maybe one or two.
Mm,
Um, but I remember there was this version of the Bible that my father had, and it was illustrated and mainly illustrated with icons. And I was like, wow, just the
mm,
style of the drawings, of the art, of the well, painting, because those are paintings actually.
mm,
How they stylize the human figure. I mean, I was not aware of that, but I recognized that there was something special about it. And well, going back to your question, later on, when I grew up, I felt drawn to well, things that kids normally like. I don't know, Pokemon, cartoons, comics. I remember I wanted to become a comic artist, and I kind of did a short comic, made a short comic for a magazine that is published already, and it's related to tarot decks actually.
mm.
And but yeah, and then like every child, I wanted to draw, I don't know, all the Disney characters. I was born in the 90s, so that was the thing that was popular with children, even though in Cuba everything is limited, especially
Mm,
during those during that back in the time, everything was very limited. Cuba is very special because it's, I mean, special not in a good way.
mm.
Because is everything is, I mean, the reality in Cuba is very difficult. It's not like here that we have, I mean, now they have internet, but it's not like here, like um access to everything, like, I don't know, buying a book online, you can't do that in Cuba. It's
Still,
impossible.
even now.
It's impossible to get tarot decks, to get books. So when I discovered tarot decks and I wanted to collect them, because if you like tarot decks, you're gonna become a collector.
Mm,
That yeah, that's it. It was very difficult for me. Um, and then I studied arts when I my junior high school was in an academy of arts, and I started to master painting, drawing, especially painting, which was the thing that I studied, even though what I really like to do is drawing, not really painting. It's been years since I don't
mm,
paint.
mm. And drawing, how do you like? Well, probably the question is which artistic medium you use
Yeah.
mainly, right? So,
Yeah, but it's not only about the means.
yeah.
It's also about the I mean, drawing is difficult from painting, because painting, you create volume, you create a reality, which is the artist's reality, through
Mm,
spots, through areas of colors. It's kind of, sometimes it depends on the artist, but I maybe this is something crazy that I'm gonna say, but it's kind of similar to making a sculpture, because there is like a feeling of kind of 3D. And I mean, with the thickness of the brush and the color and everything. But drawing is mostly based on lines. I mean, you create everything through lines, even though whether you draw using lines or you avoid the lines,
mm,
but we human beings, we see the world through lines. So when you see build a house, and I tell you, draw me a house, you draw a line, but that line doesn't exist. It's in your head. So
mm,
what drawing does is that it's like more, I think the way I see it is like the artwork goes more like based on that way of seeing reality, and painting is much more related with color, with areas, with volumes.
mm. Yeah, and your drawings are very elaborate, and many of us will talk, of course, a little later about terror. And yeah, it's kind of your artwork shines there, absolutely for us terror lovers. I just wanted to highlight a couple of comments here from Spiritual Rain. I like drawing because I feel like I have more control. My favorite medium was charcoal, but now I'm very much into colored pencils.
Yeah, so she's exploring spiritual range. She's exploring, like, I'm always exploring. I think a good a good artist is the one that never stops exploring, not only means, but also styles. Even
Mm,
though I don't think I have a style, I try to avoid having a style, because if you say, okay, my style is this is what I do. I mean, you can go through a stage where you want to do is that, but in my case, I need to move and I need to explore something new. But I am interested in exploring drawing, not painting. I don't
yeah.
know why. I really don't know why. I feel more, like you said, I feel more, I don't feel more in control. I feel more comfortable with drawing.
Mm. Yeah, more connected to the lines. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to. What did I wanted to mention something about stages and Renaissance. Oh, I forgot. Doesn't matter. Let's just
It'll be
some
back. It'll be back. Don't worry.
let's welcome back. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, icons. That's what I wanted to mention because I think in Catholic Church it's more about like mosaic windows, objects in church, and stages, and also big paintings if you go to Italy. But Eastern Orthodox Christianity, that's where the icons are. You know, like Greeks, I think Serbian, Croatian people, Russian people, Russian, that kind of, yeah, Greek Church, and Eastern European people, Slavic people. That's, you see many beautiful, striking icons in churches and cathedrals.
And
And
they think the way they see the icons is that, I mean, you are not supposed to create a new icon, because those icons are sacred. Are There's like a mystic thing behind them, like in the tarot. It's like
mm,
mystic narrative, a story, I believe. Those icons, all the icons can be reproduced. You can remake the same icon, but you cannot create a new icon,
mm,
because I think they see like the person that did the original one was inspired by God, and he was not actually the artist behind the pencil. It was God. So you cannot create a new one because you are not God. You can reproduce what it already exists.
yeah, the godly work. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So Genevieve saying, I love the idea of painting that is like constructing volumes. I'm actually painting right now while watching. Are you painting your tarot cards? Because they're quite special indeed. Yeah, Nancy. Hello, Nancy. I admire artists who explore different directions, like a musician who tries other styles, or an actor who isn't instantly identifiable in every role. Yeah, I agree because in the world, like people like to give us labels, right? Like just label you this or that. But as human beings, like regardless of what our passion, how we express ourselves creatively, it's all about growth and exploration, isn't it?
In my case, it's not like I'm trying to run away from labels. I mean, if I feel like this is my thing, this is my style, and there's nothing else that I can do, that I can like, where through which I would express more as an artist than this style, X style, I don't know, that's okay. But in my case, I get tired of it sometimes.
Mm,
And maybe the art that I see around me, or other artists, inspired me to move away, to step into something new, into exploring something new. And it's
mm.
very interesting. And sometimes it doesn't work, and you have just to give it up.
Yeah, but trying is important because if you don't, how would you know that it
Being
doesn't work?
open, being open to trying, because it's very normally nowadays with social media, and especially Instagram, it's very good for you to have a style, because in that way a lot of people will follow you, those who like that. But if you are uh inconstant with your style, maybe some people will say, okay, now I don't like what you're doing, so I will unfollow. So you have like a losing side of that. But I don't care. I don't make my art. I mean, I make my art for the people, but not to please some people, but to please myself first.
Yeah, and those ones who are like true fans in a way, right? They would follow, who understand your art and
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
you're trying to explore. Yeah, they will absolutely, stay there. I think it's, it was Saskia. I love churches here in Greece. Are you in Greece, Saskia? Oh, the one of my dream places to go.
I
Right.
would like to visit Greece one day.
Yeah. Yeah, one day. Greece and Egypt on my list. I always wanted to go to Japan, went last year, but yeah, Greece, I still want to go, and Egypt as well. And Spiritual Rain, I trust you're an artist as well, right? Spiritual Rain, I don't know your first name. I get tired of it too, Alejandro. I can relate. I started with oils, acrylics, watercolor, then drawing with charcoal, then graphite, now colored pencil. I feel like I found my style. Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
if you feel you found your style, that's okay.
yeah. And Angel saying exactly your style is your vibe. And those who are attracted will join. Yeah, so I think you kind of briefly touched on that. I'm very curious to know about artists, periods of time. You mentioned Baroque, that kind of you were inspired by Baroque art, but what other periods of time, eras in art, and prominent artists perhaps who inspired you or who influenced you or still influencing you as an artist?
Well, if we talk about periods of time, I would say Middle Ages.
Mm,
It's fascinating for me. I don't really believe in past lives, but sometimes I kind of, you know, I am doubt about it because I feel so drawn to medieval ages, especially to medieval art. It's so fascinating. Um it's so simple the way they understood the world, but at the same time it's surrealistic. I don't know how to put it into words because it's fascinating. All I can say is fascinating, and I feel really drawn to it. Well, then, I mean, Renaissance, the classic arts, but there's something about medieval art, and maybe that's maybe one of the reasons why I feel so drawn to the Tableau de Marseille, which is not, it's not from that period, but the art is similar, or I would say it is actually medieval. Well, actually, most of the tarot decks, like the Rider-Waite Smiths, it's kind of medieval. I mean, the art depicted there is kind of medieval. The characters, the costumes, what they're wearing, the way they're wearing it. I mean, the everything is kind of medieval. And the same happens with the Tarot de Marseille. So yeah, the medieval art is amazing. I think like artists like Bosch, Hieronymus
mm,
Bosch, that that dude was exploring. I mean, he invented surrealism ages before surrealism.
mm.
Dali came and say, "Ah, surrealism." Oh, well, not Dali, but those. I mean, Dali is the
Wait,
most famous
yeah.
surrealist artist. But someone said, "Okay, we're gonna do this now. We're gonna explore your unconscious mind, the dreams." Even though I think that Bosch was not really exploring that. He thought that what he was painting was real,
Mm,
which that makes it even more surrealistic for me. Um, but artists that I really like and that I feel inspired by their art. I think Michelangelo is amazing. Michelangelo is amazing. Everyone is talking always about Da Vinci, and maybe some people gonna feel bad about this, but I didn't. I don't think. I mean, he was a good artist. He was a great artist, but Michelangelo was even way better when it comes to art because Da Vinci was an inventor, was a lot of things, but Michelangelo was an artist, and even though he was a he his thing was sculpture, he painted. He
yeah.
actually painted the
I've seen his
frescoes.
paintings
Yeah,
in Florence. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's amazing. It's
Mm,
amazing what that person, but he did. Um. So yeah, I love his sculptures. I love his paintings. Um. I like the engravings of this artist. I always forget his name. I forget his name because I know it in Spanish. I think in English is Albrecht Dürer or Dürer.
Jura, yeah, yeah, Jura, yeah, yeah,
Dürer.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the way he uses the line is wow. It's to I mean you can learn a lot of things just
Mm,
watching his artworks. Goya is also fascinating. Francisco de Goya is fascinating. It's it's um it's an artist that was um doing, especially in this black period, this dark period, he was doing something that we were not ready, and that time people were not ready for what they were seeing. Um, so yeah, I think those, William Blake. I love William Blake. I love it. It's fascinating. His art, the way he understood art. He thought that art was not only, I mean, the image, but also poetry. I mean, he thought that he wanted to combine everything all together: art, like painting, engraving, poetry, all in one thing. So yeah, those are, I think, those are the ones that I'm. I also discovered new artists like Remedios Varo. I don't know if
Mm.
you're familiar with her.
No, not familiar.
She, I think she's from Spain. She was, because she already died, but she lived in Mexico, and her art is amazing. It's kind of medieval, but it's modern. And it's very personal. It's like when you see her paintings, you recognize her.
Yeah.
I would like to make, because she was quite a mystic also. I would like to
Mm.
make a tarot deck inspired by her art, but I don't know. I think it's quite a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely need to check her work out. Yeah, because I remember with Michelangelo, I mean, he was, of course, incredible painter, and we all know, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican. I mean, how's that for art, right? Mm.
Like, wow, it's like I cannot imagine someone. I mean, he didn't do it by himself, of
No,
course.
of course not, because he's got a school. Yeah, he had a school
Hmm.
of students who were very
But
talented.
he was the mind behind everything, and the perfection and the way he depicts everything.
Mm.
It's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
Yeah,
I
I
would
just
like to visit the Sixtine Chapel. It's in
yeah,
my
the one
list. It's in my to
I
do list.
visited, yeah, Vatican, goodness, more than 10 years ago now, and it was already crowded. But you go to this room and you see the ceiling, and it's like it's magnificent, but it's just so crowded there. It
That's
just,
what I've
yeah,
been told. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And one of my friends, she only was in Rome last week. Even like in the winter there, it still was quite busy there in Vatican and the Sistine Chapel. But it's still like, I mean, it doesn't take away the ceiling. You can still see, like it's just absolutely magnificent. Yeah, so Brad asked what was the name again from that artist that you mentioned that I don't.
Remedios Varo. I think is Varo, is her last name is Varo.
VAR, yeah, like Obama's you write V but you say B in Spanish, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, okay, register
because
that.
their name is in Spanish. It's Remedios Varo. I was say
Yeah,
Remedios Varo.
yeah. So
Remedios
people,
is like remedy. I also find that her name is quite um
oh yeah, look at no,
interesting.
there
Oh,
you go.
Noor already typed it here, so
Yeah,
you can
thank
see
you.
it. Her name is quite interesting because remedios means remedy.
Ooh. And Varo,
But I
does it
don't
have
know.
meaning? Like,
I don't know. I think it doesn't
doesn't?
really mean something in Spanish. Maybe it does, but I haven't checked.
Yeah. So Rain, we know the name now. Rain, Saint Sistine Chapel, brilliant creativity and realism, really just beautiful. Yeah, and I saw that Simon mentioned, he also commented that's definitely, yeah, there we go. Most definitely medieval costumes in RWS. Yeah, yeah. Maybe that what drew me to RWS because I'm such a Terre de Marseille person, but I do like original RWS. Maybe that medieval link. Yeah. Well, it's kind of probably a nice segue for us to move to chatting about tarot. And yeah, so Alejandro, can you please share your first experience with tarot? Perhaps like a reading, or what sparked your interest, like a memorable experience that sparked your interest in tarot?
Well, my I remember that my first experience with tarot was in television. I in Cuba it's very difficult, or it was. Maybe today is easier, but in the past it was practically impossible to find a tarot deck and to see one. And I think I was like 10 or 12. I don't really remember, but I was about that age. I saw this kind of soap opera in Cuba, which is where used to be very popular. And there was this character who had a Tarot de Marseille's deck and he did tarot readings. And I was like, what's that? It was like instant match, instant obsession. I don't know why. I cannot explain even to myself. I think if you believe in past lives, maybe it comes from that. I don't
Mm,
know. I can't I can't understand it, and I can't explain it to myself. It's impossible. I just know that I like it, that I feel fascinated about it, and yeah. And so I saw that, and I was like, wow, what's that? And there was then, like, in a month, there was like another show on TV, and there was another again the tarot, and someone, I mean, the whole episode of the show, it was like a comedy show or something. It revolved around the tarot, and that someone in the family, they discovered an old tarot deck, Tarot de Marseille again, and they're starting to use it to scam people, blah blah blah. But they kind of mention the cards, and you get to see pictures, and I was like, pictures of the cards, and I was like, I want to know more. But I was
mm,
living in Cuba in the 90s, so no internet, no um libraries where you can go and look for something. Like, I mean, there were libraries in Cuba, but everything was so limited, so and restricted. I remember there was this online encyclopedia, because we did have computers at school. We didn't have internet. The concept of internet didn't exist in Cuba at that
mm,
time, but we have like a laboratory for children at school with computers, and there was this online, I mean, not online, digital encyclopedia in Carta. I don't know if it exists today or not. And there was a small, a brief text about the cards, and I remember it explained a little bit what the tarot is, the major arcana, just mentioned the names of the cards. And I remember there was a picture of three cards. I think it was from the, now that I know
mm,
a little bit more about it, I think it was a Pierre Madeni.
right.
Um, there was force or strength, the lovers, and the devil. And I was like, and I drew that, and I went every day to draw it and redraw it, and I started to look for information about that. But I was a child in Cuba in the
Yeah.
90s again, so it was very difficult. And
So you
but I
discovered tarot when you were a child still.
uh
You discovered tarot when you were a child, you first
yeah,
saw
when I was 10, but I never had and saw an actual
it.
tarot
Oh, yeah,
deck.
of course, yeah,
In
yeah.
Cuba, there is a big tradition of card reading, but they don't use the tarot. They use Spanish cards.
Is it
That's what.
Barak?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, I've seen, yeah. Mm,
because in Cuba there is a strong tradition of religions related to African religions, or religions that come from African, like Regla de Ocha or Santeria, and
mm,
they all read cards, but they don't use the tarot. Um they use Spanish cards. That's a quite fascinating topic too, because there is one of the deities is a gypsy woman.
yeah.
And if the gypsy woman comes to you and is in your, let's call it, just to put it, to simplify it, astral chart,
Mm,
you have to read the cards. So you have to get a deck of Spanish cards, and you have to read it, even though you don't know what you're doing. But you have to. You're compelled to because the Egyptian woman told you to do so.
Yeah, you don't ignore her.
Yeah, you don't know how to do it, but you have to.
Yeah.
So I started to look for information about the tarot, but no one knew about it. I mean, some people had like an idea that yes, it's the cards I use for reading, but nobody has one as a deck here. I remember. I also remember. This is funny. I think that in Cuba, when you go to school and they give you the notebooks and books, they were so old that you have to wrap them in, like, to protect them, to protect the covers. You have to wrap the cover, and you usually use newspapers, but some people who have family abroad use magazines. And you know that most of magazines in the back they have a section where you get the horoscope, the zodiac signs, and also advertisement for tarot readings. And there were children in my school, in my class, that the books were wrapped with that, and I was all the time, hey, can I see that? Can I unfold it and see this? And I drew the cards, and I drew the so that's how I started to discover some
Yeah.
of the cards, and I started to make my own cards. From the moment I knew that episode in the show and how they read the cards and everything, I didn't know how to read the cards. I didn't even know how what the cards looked like. I just knew that from the encyclopedia there was the fool, the magician, and I just started to make them, to invent the cards. And I made
Hmm.
myself a lot of deck cards, and I invented some cards, and I used them for reading at school just
Yeah, that's
because.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah, like what a story about, like, looking at this ads and just figuring out an image.
Yeah, it
This
was like a
it's
riddle. It was like a mystery. Well, the
mm,
tarot is a mystery, but nowadays you get to get a lot of information about it. But at that time, for me, it was so limited, the information that I could get, that it made it more interesting.
mm. Yeah, and you said how, like you just didn't know why you were drawn to tarot, and I'm sure so many of us, I'm the same, in the community can share that, like, when people ask, what did you draw to, like, why are you so drawn to tarot? People don't know, it's just that sense of knowing, I just know, I'm just connected, I don't know why, but you
Yeah.
can't ignore the knowing, once you know, you know. And yeah, so many people share that. I know, like, a few of my friends do. Let us just highlight a few questions, I think, comments or questions we had. Let me just, yeah, Nikki is here. Hello, Nikki. I saw your deck from Simon and the Hermit's Cave and immediately fell in love with the artwork from your Rider-Marseille. Yeah, we'll chat about that for sure.
Thank you.
Second
Thank you,
backup.
Nikki.
Yeah, it's a wonderful deck. And yeah, Jackie was saying that she's waiting for Rider-Marseille. Yeah, Rider-Marseille as well. And Simon
I
is
hope she
asking,
likes it.
I have an inkling. I have a good feeling Jackie will like it. Yeah. Yeah, Simon just asking, what did you say the Spanish cards were called? What do you call those cards in Cuba?
I think it was you who called them barajas. Barajas
Oh,
is like
I know from South America.
cards.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, it's Baraja. It's Baraja.
AJAS.
Yeah, yeah,
You know a lot
because
of words in Spanish.
a little bit. I studied languages, so yeah, a little bit. Um, and Sean is saying, isn't that so many of us were attracted to tarot at very young age? And Angie saying that right away. Yeah, thank you so much for the link. So Angie included the link where people can get the
Thank
right
you.
away tarot.
Thank you, Roots and Waves.
Yeah. So you've been drawing cards, you created your own deck as you were growing up, but when did you get like officially your first tarot deck? What was it? And do
Um,
you remember like anything
yeah,
you can
it
share?
was like when I was 20 something. I then I mean, like in the 2000s, internet started to appear in Cuba. I mean, people didn't have internet yet, but in some places like for instance, my mom's where my mom goes to used to go to work. There was a computer who had limited access to internet, and I used to go with her when she couldn't get me at school because it was holidays or whatever. She took me with her, and I sat in the computer, and I started to that's what the moment when I started to really look for information, like to understand that there are different types of tarot decks. And I also remember that before that, I discovered Papu's book. Papu's, I don't know if you, and I read the whole book. I was like 15.
Tarot
15.
of
I
the
was
Bohemians. I think Tarot of the
Shadow of the
Bohemians.
Bohemians. Yeah, and there you got like all the images of the trump cards, and I made the drawings again, and I like updated my tarot, my personal tarot deck. But in the 2000s, I could find information about tarot. I discovered that there was like that rather like different schools or patterns, or I don't know what you want to call them. So you have the Marseilles, you have the Rider Waite, which is the most popular. You have the Egyptian tarot, and I have a cousin. She's kind of like my sister. She lives in Germany, so she was out of Cuba, and I told her, the only thing that I want you to bring me when you come is a tarot deck. And but she was so lazy that she didn't buy me a tarot deck. But
Oh no!
someone, no, she forgot. I mean, she brought me some of the stuff that she thought that I would enjoy more.
For
And
tarot people, if you forget to buy tarot deck, it's like
yeah,
you're not my friend anymore. Who are you?
exactly, exactly. But she didn't get it. So but it was like a week before she came, and I said, "Hey, what about my tarot deck?" And someone had gifted her a Thoth deck, and that was the first actual real tarot deck that I could hold in my hands was a Thoth deck. And when I saw it, I was like, "What is this? What's this? I don't understand this."
Mm,
And it was funny because even though all the names were in German, I could identify the 22 trumps, the three magicians that I was like, why are the three cards of this? This is the magician. It's number one. That's a magician. And because some editions of the Thoth come with three magician cards.
older ones, yeah.
And that was when I got into the Thoth Tarot, and discovered um, Alistair Crowley, the character, the polemical character that Alistair Crowley was. And I just got in touch. I discovered the Frida Harris art, which is really beautiful, amazing. And yeah, so that was my actual first tarot deck. And I started to get into Telema. I really didn't get into the religion, but I started to read about it. I read the Book of Thoth by Crowley, and I started to read more about it, and I started to use that
Mhm.
deck, even though I didn't feel comfortable with it because the way that Thoth sees the tarot is is like in a predictive way, and that's something that I try not to do with the tarot, even though
Mm,
you can do it. But that was something that I try not to do when I do tarot readings. I rarely do tarot readings. Um, I said to the okay, the person, you want me to give you a tarot reading? I can do that, but I'm not gonna tell you the future. I'm not gonna make decisions for you. So this is just I'm gonna tell you a story, and you tell me if it rings some bells
mm.
to you. If not, then that's okay. So that was my first actual tarot deck.
Wow, yeah. And now, well, you mentioned how we have three, well, I call them lineages, traditions, or schools, right? So we have Rider-Waite-Smith, we have Thoth, we have Tarot de Marseille. I kind of put Italian decks in a separate category as well, like more Italian deck tradition. Where do your preferences lie personally at the moment out of the well, schools, lineages, traditions of tarot?
I think I have always been I have always felt comfortable with the Tarot de Marseille, but like when I did the Rider-Marseille, when I worked in that, I discovered that the Rider-Waite is also quite good, and because um I used to think, and I'm sorry, I try not to hurt anyone's feelings or sensibilities, but I always thought that the Rider-Waite was quite simple, like the images were, everything was just there. So I mean, when you see the three swords, there's, when you see that heart pierced with three swords, there's no other thing that you can think of that you have your heart broken.
Mm,
So it was kind of quite limited for me, and sometimes so naive, but I think that's part of the magic of that
mm,
style, of Pixie's style. But I really didn't feel drawn to it. I mean, there was a time where I kind of liked it, I explored it, but didn't feel a connection with it. But when I was doing the Rider Marseille, I started to look in detail to the artwork of the Rider Waite Smith, and I discovered that it's quite interesting, and there are a lot of interesting connections that you can
mm,
make with the cards, like with the water. Like for instance, in the Empress, there is like a streaming water that can connect with a lot of cards. Like I don't know, the two of
mm.
coins or the king or the queen of coins. Where is, and also in the wands there is like a river in the in some cards. There's like a river. So there are a lot of elements that connect can connect the cards, because that's the way I like to do my readings.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. Yeah, I love, when you put like two, three cards together and to follow the line, you see that to see where the lines are following. Yeah, it's kind of one of the things I enjoy doing as well.
mhm.
Yeah.
But I think I feel more comfortable with the TDM, with the Tarot Marseilles. It's like, I don't know, it was the first deck that I saw, and it kind of um got somehow into my my soul, my
Mm,
self, I don't know, my personality even, and I feel very comfortable with the Tarot Marseilles, even though I prefer reading with the trump cards and not with the minors.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can use the minors, but I
Mm,
don't know. I feel the best readings you get is with the trump cards. But
yeah.
I've been using this my own deck, and
Mm.
I've been getting very good readings with it. So
I've been getting good readings from your deck as well, yeah. And with minors, I love reading with minors. In Europe, is actually quite popular, especially in France, to use only trump cards. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, so for me, my first deck was Rider-Waite Smith, and I was drawn to images, and I still love them very much. But once I discovered Tarot de Marseille, it's like was a game changer for me because Tarot de Marseille, I just feel like it's my thing. But I do love very much RWS as well. So what do we have here? Yeah, so Jenna saying, what an incredible way you came to your exploration of the tarot, Alejandro.
thank you.
And yeah, Simon, that's the comment for RWS being too simple, okay? Where you see like different people in the community where
I want
Sebastian I
I want
love.
to do a disclaimer. I want to do a disclaimer. I don't think. I used to think that. Now I don't think it. I don't.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you created your own, like yeah, you
Yeah.
were
So
but yeah. Yeah. Hi Dustin, nice to see you.
hello.
Wanted to pop in to say hi. Watching on replay tomorrow, thank you. And Jackie, yeah, it's getting a bit late, so good night. Hello to Luca of Spades. Started with RWS, but primarily use PIP decks now. I feel like my studies and practices have, yeah, with TDM, revolutionized approach. Yeah. What else we have? I am the only French using trumps and minors. Yeah. I know a few other French people who do, but also I know many who don't. Yeah.
If
Hello.
you feel comfortable with it, just if it reads, if it speaks to you, and go on.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads us to your creations. Well, we have three, you created three decks so far, right? I have all of
Hmm.
them. Yeah, what was the first one? Let's begin with the earliest one and then we'll continue chronologically in a way.
Well, according to the one that I started to work in was this one, the medieval feathers.
So that was the first one that you started
Well,
working.
the
Let's talk
first one
about,
published was this one, was the Title des Ambiguities. I don't know, my camera is like, yeah,
well, we
this
go
one.
with the one that you want to talk about first. Like
I don't
for
know.
you, which do you consider first for you? Would it be medieval feathers?
Well, yeah, I think so, because yeah,
Yeah, let's
that
talk about
was,
this one. Yeah. And I'm curious actually in the chat because this one has been published mass market by by Blue Angel Publishing, the medieval feather stair. I'm curious to hear from our friends in the chat how many of you have this deck. And I know my friends who do have this deck feel the art is magnificent. It's like the artwork here is just so inspired and so elaborate in these cards, very detailed, absolutely spectacular. And I think your influence, your love for medieval art, medieval period comes through. So can you share, because this one is a biggie, right? So can you share the concept and your vision behind this theater, how you began to create it, perhaps even what were the first cards you created, and feathers, and also talk about the feathers because it's medieval feathers. Many
uh,
questions.
I
Yeah.
have, yeah. Don't worry, I will talk about everything. And even about more, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
I, um, I have heard so many comments and read so many comments about this that some people uh, like it better without the feathers. Some people say,
Mm,
"Yeah, it's very good. I like it, but the feathers, I don't like the feathers. I would buy it if it doesn't have feathers." Well, this is a funny story. There's a funny story behind this deck. Um, this deck came to me in a dream. That never happens to me. I am the
mm,
type of person that most of the time forgets my dreams very easily and fast. But that day, I remember, I'm talking about like 2000, I think it was 2018, 2000, between 2017 and 2018, because I remember I was still at university at the time. And I had this dream that I drew this medieval deck, like in this type of cardboard, like vintage cardboard, paper, whatever, with lines. And but the deck had real feathers stuck to it, stuck on the
mm.
cards. And I
Wow.
tried to replicate that, but it was not it was not a good idea. So what I did instead, I made like a prototype. I was not thinking about publishing anything. At that time, I used to be very active in Facebook famous tarot groups, and I just started to. I made my art and I show it to people, and I would like to get the feedback to see what they think about it, and thinking that maybe one day, if I go out of Cuba, I could publish my own decks. So I made kind of a prototype, handmade prototype, and since I couldn't stick to the feathers to the cards, I colored the feathers. But there was not like a concept like, okay, we're gonna use this feather because I don't know, the woodpeck feather is much more related to the magician. Like
Mm.
this deck is like the concept of this deck is now. I just drew feathers. That's it. And I said, okay, this is a deck is for sale. Because with the help of my cousin, she was coming to Cuba. She could take it away with, she could take the deck back with her to Germany. And from Germany, if someone buys it, she could ship it because I couldn't ship from Cuba. That
Mm.
was also impossible.
So you
So,
printed the deck actually. You printed your
mm,
original in Cuba, or you
no,
or she
no,
took the
I
images,
made I made a handmade deck.
a handmade. Okay.
Handmade deck. Yeah, handmade deck. Handmade drawings and little cardboards. And someone on Facebook was interested. This woman, I don't remember her name. I think she lives or used to live in the United Kingdom, and she bought it very cheaply because At that time, I didn't know how to price or the value that a handmade deck could have. Like I no nowadays. And she was the first. She's the first person that has uh that deck, and the first person to whom I sold the tarot deck to, and it was even wrapped in a paper like the old tarot de Marseille. Like you get to see the Pierre Madeni, for instance, that is wrapped in a paper. With I did all that. And then J.R. Rivera, which is the one who writes the book, he had worked before with Blue Angel. He gets in touch with me. He says that he wants to do something. He had an idea of a deck, but I really didn't like it. And I said, you know what? I have this. Do you think we can do that? And he liked it. And then we started to work together in the concept of the deck and trying to give a special feather of a special bird to every card. We started with the 22 trumps and then we moved to the minor arcana, and that's how the project flowed.
Hmm. Amazing. Yeah, so I actually like feathers. I know I've heard of people saying that just like I feathers, I'd be distracting for them because I love writing and I always associate writing with the feathers. So, and these cards are really great. I yeah, because the images are so, as I mentioned, elaborate, and there is so much. Can we go through the cards of the major arcana together so you can just talk about if you kind of remember which decks, which periods you got the inspiration from? Because I personally recognize inspiration from a number of historic decks or historic paintings in these cards. So if we can just talk on yeah, let's do the major arcana because I'm sure that our friends they well some of them are familiar with tarot. I did a big walkthrough of this one a while back, but it's the best to hear from you, from the artist behind the cards.
Yeah, sure. Let me. Should I get mine or
I
is
can get mine, or do you
okay?
want
Okay,
do you want
because mine are not
show
in
you
order. So,
show your card, any card?
well, I have here the sum.
Yeah, well,
Mm,
I'll show you what I did with mine. Okay. I
okay,
modified.
you better use yours, and in case I
Well,
need to
yeah,
find
people
it, I
probably will
just
not recognize my deck. This is the full. You see what I've done?
oh yeah, excellent. What you done?
And look
That's
what I did
excellent.
as well.
Very yeah, very good. Get rid of that back, please.
So
That
I
was
did
not that was
mark
not the yeah.
marks, yeah, and I trimmed all the
It
borders and
looks
all.
really nice, actually. It looks
I
really
love it,
nice.
yeah,
I love what you did.
and it shuffles really nicely as well because this kind of they glide really nicely with the shinier ones. And yeah, I absolutely love it now. So I had to arrange it in order last night. But yeah, let's talk about the full. I'll just show, yeah. So I will show the majors, and Alejandro can just describe what's there for us to see.
The full I'm not gonna really remember all the feathers
Yeah,
because
yeah, of
it's
course, yeah. No, no.
a lot of feathers. But I wanted it to be a colorful feather. That's what I remember. I thought. So I think we used like a parrot feather or something like that. And yeah, the full is a little bit inspired by the noble because you get to see his um private parts, the
Mm,
buttock.
yes.
And yeah, and the dog, it's like it's I don't know what you call that in English. In Cuba we used to call them Chinese dogs, the dogs that don't have hair, because it's I don't know why I felt like that was the perfect dog for the fool. And yeah,
Mm,
he's also grabbing this. I don't really know what you call that in English, but it's this stick with a depiction of his own face on the, like,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
is
yeah,
is
like
the
yeah, like a stuff
you.
with the fool's head, yeah.
So it's very very influenced by the noble because I remember that the noble has I remember that I used the noble, um mainly the noble for the inspiration of that.
Yeah, because I remember, Terror of Paris also about 1650s also had this kind of but it was very common again during
Yeah, it was very common. Yeah, at that time. Yeah,
yeah. The magician with the monkey, love the monkey.
yeah, the monkey because of the tooth.
Mm,
So I wanted it to have like this. I tried that all of them, not all, but most of them, to have an animal, but like a
mm,
small detail, not like the animal is the main character or whatever. And well, this magician is quite interesting because he's got you if you look in detail, there are the 22 trump cards from that Tarot de Marseille are on the table, and you can recognize some of the cards if you look closer, and one of the cards is the magician already.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, 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 I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I remembered I mean, he's playing with the feather and with dice, because some cards of the magician you get to see the dice, and
Mm,
the bug, it has because the magician is, for me, the way I see it is like the first card. Actually, it's the first card because the fool is like zero, it's like nothing, it's nothing trying to become into something with the magician. um it's kind of an androgynous car.
mm.
So I wanted to have like a feminine element. So the bag, if you look closer, it has like some pockets that look like um female reproductive organs.
Mm, mm, mm. No, that's
As I know
amazing.
YouTube is quite sensitive with some words, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
avoid.
yeah. Very strict now. Yeah. The purpose. I absolutely love this card. I love that she is writing with the feather. But I'm curious about what's written in the book.
There's no you there's what's if you know it, what's the point? No, you can't know what she's writing there.
Okay, so she's
It's a
writing.
mystery. Like, if you know, if we solve the mystery behind the tarot, if we finally discovered who invented the tarot, then it would, the magic will somehow die.
Mm.
So there's something written, but you can't really read something.
Okay, all
You
right. I
can
thought
try, but
thought maybe you wrote some secret there for us to learn. Yeah, yeah. The beautiful.
and you can ask me if you want about certain things that I don't know, you think like, why do you do this, or maybe.
I will ask you once we go along. Yeah,
Okay.
I will ask you about the Knight of Cups. That's what I will ask you about. Yeah, all right. The Empress.
The Empress was the first card that I did. I
Mm,
remember
that
that.
was the first one. Yeah,
And
yeah.
in the original prototype, it was the only one that had a distinctive feather. It was the what you call it, turkey
Peacock.
peacock. Oh, peacock. Sorry, the
Yeah,
peacock
yeah, yeah.
feather. Yeah, and I
And
and I yeah, yeah. Ask me. Yeah, sorry.
no, I just wanted to ask about the because I know in some of the older historic decks sometimes we have more like pages or more like servants. With the
That is
Empress, was
exactly
it
what.
your was it the child? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I also use as reference the Visconti decks, and I think there's one. I don't really remember which one. I think it's the Modron, where the
Mm,
Empress is. She has some two pages helping her. So I
yeah,
and it's interesting because you get to see one, but the other one you can see his or her face because it's covered by the feather.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right because you can see it from the side and here. Yeah,
And there is a lot
yeah,
of inspiration from Virgin Mary, some medieval depictions of the Virgin Mary with that face, like that. So, like, she's kind of sad. I don't know. And also
yeah.
the clothing and the way everything folds, like as if it's like wet, like as if the clothes is wet. I don't know.
Mm,
I had a lot of influence from the some. I used a lot of images of Virgin Mary carrying baby Jesus from medieval art.
yeah. Yeah, but the draping in this card, the draping of fabric and that characters wear is
It's
absolutely
quite
beautiful.
medieval.
Yeah. So with the emperor, What face do we have there on
It's
like on
it's supposed to be a lion,
lion? Yeah.
but um a lion as you would depict it in medieval times. That you
Mm.
they really haven't seen so many lions, so they don't know. So sometimes they make them look like similar to a human face or a monkey face. Some people think it's a monkey, but actually it's a lion.
Yeah.
But if it's a monkey for you, it's okay.
No, for me, yeah, for me, it's kind of does have a bit of a lion. Yeah, does have a bit of a lion feel. But
It's
you
like
know
an
how?
anthropomorphic lion or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, because they depictions, like in Noblatia or in the Strength card Force, the lion looks like a bear. Like I don't know, like for me it is, but yeah,
And also the with that emperor, the clothing, the cloak with
yeah,
those I don't really know what to call that in English. Sorry for my limited vocabulary in English, but those things that kings have that is
yeah.
white with
Fleur
black.
de lis, fleur de lis,
Yeah, but
fleur
I
de
mean in the in
flowers.
not the fleur de lis, like in the borders or the trims of the cloth.
Okay,
It's white with black things. It's
yeah,
kind of a animal skin or something. You
mm,
get to see that in the Noble Emperor.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, that's kind of the pattern of the clothing.
And
Yeah,
instead of the scepter, he's holding the eagle feather.
mm, yeah, beautiful. The Pope, I trust that will be a cardinal feather, feather of a
Yeah, the
cardinal.
cardinal because Pope, cardinal.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very fitting. The lava card, I'm very curious to hear about the inspiration. So we have here more like an armored knight and a maiden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Because there's so many depictions of knights saving the maiden in the uh medieval art, and also in the Visconti decks you get to see, I think, the lovers is it's not an armed knight, but is like two lovers and
Yeah,
the blessing of the gods with Cupid throwing
mm,
the
yeah,
arrow, and there is just a little rabbit in
yeah.
the
Yeah, it's just there.
the
Yeah,
rabbit for me is like a depiction of the um kind naive love, like we get we turn when we are in love, we become more like, I don't know, like indefense creatures, or I don't know if it makes sense or how. In my head it makes it makes
yeah.
sense.
And then for chariot, we have an angel standing on the chariot.
Hmm.
Chariot, yeah, yeah, angel standing in the chariot. So why did you go for the angel?
um I think it's again the Visconti. There is a
Mm,
Visconti deck where there is an angel. um and I was watching a review of that deck in a YouTube channel, and someone said that it's good because, I mean, it's genius because it's an angel, it's a mystical creature, it has wings, it can fly, but he knows, or she knows, that she has to be carried out. He has to be transported by the horses. So yeah,
mm.
that's pretty much the idea.
Yeah, great. Justice. I have two feathers for the justice.
Hmm. I don't remember. I think it was a crane. The bird that I used, I think it was a crane. Um, and yeah, I liked it to be like that, like black and white, and also the unbalanced. It's a little bit the scales are a little bit unbalanced, kind
Mm,
of tilted,
yeah,
because justice. I mean, like in the TDM, is not perfect. It's like there
mm.
is some unbalance there,
Something weighing off. Yeah.
but it's just light. It's very subtle. You get to see very close to notice that.
And then we have the hermit with the deer, right? A young deer animal.
I love the deer for the hermit because it reminds me of the forest. There is a saint. Now I forgot the name, but there is a saint. There is like a hermit saint, in in Catholic religion, there is this saying that he has a deer because he there is a legend that goes that he found a wounded deer and he healed it or something like that. And there's also, I think it's a Minchiate tarot where you get to see a deer in the hermit's card.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, because the hermit have like crutches, and then the deer is at his feet.
There's a deer. So every element that I add, some of them you could say, okay, why is he but putting a deer there? But I try to find reference in other decks.
Hmm.
It's not because I want to add it, because this deck is supposed to be historical, which is not, but it's supposed to look like that.
But it's inspired, and you see, because I love to be like tarot history detective and, recognize some elements I remember from historic decks. Well, which brings me to the Wheel of Fortune card, which to me immediately reminds me of Visconti decks, both the
Visconti, yeah, of
Sforza
course.
and Fortuna. And I do love the Fortuna, I guess the goddess Fortuna, probably, yeah, right in the middle and blindfolded for this card as well.
Yeah, and these four figures that one in some medieval depictions, like in cathedrals and manuscripts and scrolls, you get to see this depiction of fortune and the four characters in one. The one at the top says, "I'm gonna reign." The one that is going down, "I used to reign," or something like that. So it's interesting. I wanted to play with that.
Yeah, yeah. I will. I am. Yeah, yeah. Past, present, future, and I think I have done it or something
And
like
I
it.
have no kingdom or something like that. It's the what the
Yeah,
one at the top reads.
yeah. Beautiful. Love the force again. Kind of the all the decks inspired, right, with the column.
Mm-hmm.
That's very
The bird that we use is, I think it's a casaurus or casaurus.
Cassowary. It's Australian bird.
Casuari, yeah, is
Cassowary. They're
and
so
it's
fun.
I think you get to see them in Australia.
Yeah, yeah,
Am
yeah.
I
You
right?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're large. They're probably kind of about my height. They're
Yeah,
quite.
they're really
Yeah.
big. That's exactly what we use it. And the feather is so original, it's so unique. It doesn't look like a feather at all. It looks like a branch or something like that. So it was
Hmm.
very funny for me to and very what so I really enjoyed drawing that feather in particular.
Yeah. No,
And
I
with the
love.
I mean in the and the depiction of the lady with the pillar and
Mm,
everything. I liked it. I liked the lady with the animal with the beast, but I also like it with the pillar.
mm. Yeah,
Actually, I have it tattooed. Not that one, but um like a ancient depiction of force, like this lady with the pillar. I
yeah.
like that.
Because even like very, very old Yak, we're talking about 1400 Rosenwald tarot, right? Woodblock, it's already had a pillar as well, yeah. And the hangman Lapendu,
Hmm. In
yeah.
French, will be le pendu.
Lependu, yeah, I don't do French. Yeah, yeah. And again, death is very, very like medieval Renaissance Italian.
That was one of the first cards. I remember it was there was the Empress, there was Death, the Magician. Um, yeah, I think those were the first that I because when I start to create a deck, I start to do some cards and I start to discover the vibe. I mean, in this case, I already had the concept. It was gonna be this kind of artwork,
Hmm.
medieval, everything with lines, black and white, and feathers. But through the process, you start to discover the vibe behind the deck. And with 3 4 cards, I already get it. I already know how it is gonna go and how it's not supposed to go. And with the death card, it with those 3 cards, I had it already. I had it already clear in my head. The death has a turkey vulture, I think, or a vulture or a turkey vulture feather,
Yeah.
which is is like a vulture, but it's black,
Mm.
and they're very common in Cuba and also here in Florida. You get to see them a lot.
Yeah, so they're feeding on decay, and I guess that's probably
Hmm.
the
But in
inspiration.
Cuba, you get to see them everywhere, everywhere. It's like you feel like the country is dying. I don't know. It's not a good omen.
Yeah, next one. I love virtue cards on the Stero, but this one I think probably is my favorite card. If I have to, well, no, I have a few favorites, but one of my favorites of the major arcana, the Temperance.
It's also one of my friends in Cuba, one of my friends' favorite, and she had it tattooed at the point that she said, "Can I get it tattooed?" Okay.
Wow, amazing. Yeah.
And it's similar to it's inspired by the um I'm forgetting having issues with the names of the decks.
I
This
know
deck,
Montaigne Tarot.
no, not really. It's inspired by the Via,
Viville, yeah,
which is
Viville
one of
has,
my favorites.
yeah,
Because in the
Viville,
Via, she has the jar, and then the floor there's
yeah,
like this vase, and she's putting the water.
yeah, but this one is just so beautiful. Hmm.
Thank you.
The Devil, yeah, I think this one you have to break it down to us. It's a
I
lot of
really love
details.
making that. I really enjoyed making that drawing.
So what's there?
It's
Like we have the, is it like, what is it? The butterfly, some kind of, I don't
no,
remember the
it's a
name.
moth actually.
Moth, yeah, that's it.
Moth
Yeah, moth,
wings.
yeah.
Yeah, because moth used to be related with magic, night, mystery. Those are concepts that are related to the devil too. And
Mm,
the card is inspired again a little bit in the Vieuville, but also in Bosque art and in medieval depictions of the devil, which are crazy like that. Is crazy. That card is crazy. With it has so many parts of different animals. I
mm.
don't know. It's really interesting. It's so surrealistic, and
Very
it's
much
really
so.
good to create to recreate something like that. I really
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah. For tower, we have two options, and we have La Foudre, the lightning, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
House of God, the yeah,
Yeah, La
Marseille,
Foudre from the Biobio.
yeah, with the shepherd and the
I
light.
actually I actually wanted it to be the lightning, and that's it.
Mm,
But then the publisher, I think the publisher said, you know what, people are not gonna get it, and okay, let's go with the classic tower too.
yeah, just to give people an option. Yeah.
And it's the only feather of a mystical animal, which is a
Oh,
phoenix feather,
Phoenix, my Phoenix. Yeah, for the tower. Hmm. The star. We have the astronomer for the star.
like in the Bibil.
Yeah. Like in Reveal, but also in all the Italian decks, Star, Moon, Sun often featured like one or two astronomers,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not astrologers, astronomers. Yeah, yeah. The moon is absolutely beautiful. So we have the lady with the spindler, the
Like
spin.
again, like in the Bibil.
Yeah,
I was very influenced, but I think it was during that time that I discovered the Biobio. So
yeah,
I wanted to, because it's interesting to recreate these depictions of these cars, like the moon, the star, the lightning, that are different and are old but are new to most of us.
yeah.
And to recreate it and make like a modern version, even though it tries to look like vintage, it was way more interesting than going with the traditional moon and the two dogs and the crab and
No, and that's why I think it's so good for our friends here and people who will be watching to hear the stories and the links to historic decks. Because as I said, like I love to play detective, and with the number of historic decks I have behind me, I love to see the patterns and also even the pattern, how in Reveal, that type of model, I guess, modeled after the Reveal, the a woman with the spindler spinning yarn is for the moon, where in Minchiate, this model is for the sun card. So it's kind of interesting to see sometimes
yeah, Yeah, it's interesting to know how the different variations and different cars, and
Yes.
depending on the type. And in that car is, in particular in the moon, I like the way that it is the moon is the archetype of the woman, of the mother, and the woman with with the spindle is like reflection of, that's the way I see it, like
Mm.
a reflection in this world in physical form, or tangible, not physical, but let's say tangible form of the moon itself or herself.
Yeah, or even like the
That's the way
cyclical
I see it.
nature, right? Like cycles of yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it.
Some people say it's a witch because they say
Mm.
witches used to go in the night to make
Yeah,
the thread and everything. I don't know, whatever that goes for you. I also like the story of the witches that, and the
yeah.
moon, the
But
night is.
also it can be one of the, like in many cultures, we have triple goddess, but we have a goddess that spins the cycle of life. Like the goddess that spins a thread of life.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They're different in different
the
cultures. Yeah.
three. Yeah, sometimes it's three goddess, sometimes it's one.
Yeah, and one of them is always with the spinning. Yeah, the sun is very different again. So we have a backwards, we have a female on the sun on a horse.
Like in the, again, like in the real deck,
Yeah,
but in this case, she's facing to the other side. Although the horse is going
yeah,
to
and then
the right, which is the, according to the way I read the tarot, is the right direction to go.
hmm, yeah. So a couple more, and then we'll just get to the comments of people, and then we'll talk further. So this is the judgment with
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, yeah, and the world. Yeah, if you can talk a little bit more about the world card, because again we have landscape at the back, but also we have a few elements here.
Yeah, but it's mainly inspired by the Visconti.
Mm,
The world card in the Visconti is kind of pretty much that depiction. Is this woman, and she's like, um, I think she's like opening her clothes, and you get to
mm.
see the world.
The
Like
world,
the
yes,
world is inside of her. It's
yeah,
interesting, and
yeah,
also the child is could be related to Jesus Christ, and she could
mm,
be interpreted as Virgin Mary, but not necessarily, because
yeah,
this is not like a Christian or Catholic deck, but
mm,
it draws inspiration from those type type of artwork.
yeah.
So
But also to have that oval, like mandorla, like
the
shape, right?
mandorla, exactly,
These
yeah.
are the elements that we see, yeah. And you added another card here. You added the consultant card, 22.
hmm Yeah,
So it's a lot
I
of
don't know. It was interesting to. It could be seen as another card world if you don't like to use a consultant card,
mm,
or you can use it as a consultant. I don't really use a consultant, but
yeah,
if you like it, if you feel like you can use it like an extra card, or like the consultant card, or another version of the world, and it has all the
zodiac.
zodiac elements.
Mm,
Yes, some people don't get it, but like Scorpio is which is my sign, is
mm,
not a Scorpio, is kind of I mean, it's a Scorpio, but saw some depictions of the scorpion, not like a scorpion, like kind of a lizard
mm,
with the tail of the scorpion, because I think during that time they didn't really know what a scorpion looked like, so they made it
mm.
like that. um but it is a Scorpio, and Virgo is like a jar, I think. But
Yeah.
all those elements, all those depictions of the signs like that, I saw them in some illustrations and
Mm.
books and texts and images from that period, from the medieval time.
Yeah. No, it just the artwork is absolutely magnificent. And let's just quickly scroll. I've seen quite a few comments here. Let me just go all the way up. Or Simon saying that he has all three decks. An incredible artist, I agree.
Thank you.
Genevieve saying, wow. Yeah. Very Lynch movie. I think it's a story about the feathers coming to you in your dream, referring to that. Hello, Brian. Nice to see you here. And Saskia, I think, was leaving. Okay. Let me just see if anything relevant. Yeah, while I'm kind of scrolling through the comments, when it comes to the court cards of the medieval feathers tarot, did you have any like characters or people in your life that served the model for the court cards for some of them?
Well, I was the model for the Knight of Cups.
Yeah, let me find you. There you go.
I used myself as a model.
Yeah.
At that time, I used to have long hair because I'm a Scorpio is a water sign, so and the feather of that card is a trogon or tocororo feather, which is the national bird of Cuba, and it's a very beautiful bird. It's very colorful. It has the three colors of the Cuban flag: red, white, and blue. And the feather is quite distinctive. I mean, if you'd seen that, I mean, it's very difficult to see one, but if you'd seen a picture of them, the tail is just like that. The feathers are, it looks like they were trimmed, but they
Hmm.
were not. I mean, it's the natural shape of the feather of that bird.
Mm, amazing. Yeah, and for the night, what you did is half human, half animal, right?
Yeah, like in the Minchiate. I love. It's not only the Minchiate. I think it's the Rosenwald. If I'm not wrong, I think it's the Rosenwald tarot that also has
Yeah, Rosenwald. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember the image. Yeah,
and the
and
Minchiate.
same,
So yeah.
and same applies to the pages, right? So you have two female pages. The female ones are for the cups and coins, and two
Hmm.
male ones, right? So the
Yeah, I try to balance the that you get to see a female and male, and also in the I think it's in the Spanish cards that we were talking about previously, that there's one page that is definitely a woman.
mm,
So maybe that idea came, and of course, I mean the soft feminine energy like elements that the coins and the cups are the ones that
yeah,
are,
yeah, and they're
yeah, are
beautiful,
girls.
beautiful paintings, beautiful drawings. Yeah.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Now with the yeah, before we go to your other decks, with the medieval feathers tarot, do you have personal favorite cards in the deck that we haven't spoken perhaps about?
I don't know. Well, I think the death card is awesome.
Hmm.
Modesty aside, I don't know if it makes sense. And I when in Spanish say modesty aside, like okay, I'm acknowledging that what I did is good. The death card, I love it. Like with the
Hmm.
worms and everything, like it's rotting. It kind of depicts the feeling of the card, of the process of it's rotting.
Hmm.
And it's not moving, which it's okay for me. Most people like it, like moving and sewing the the ground. Um, but I like it like it's still, and it's covering the also it's covering the name of the card. So
Hmm.
it's death, but maybe not. We cannot be 100% sure that what is written there is death.
Yeah, because it's sort of like, in Marseille tarot, death is nameless, right? It comes without the name.
Yeah,
This one is pretty much okay. I'm just thinking
exactly,
on
exactly. So that's the point, to play
that.
with that idea that people say no, in the Tarot de Marseille it's not death because it's although
Hmm.
in the Noble there's written la mort,
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's the
it's death.
one of the one. Yeah, yeah,
I
one of
think
the.
they just try to avoid the word death.
Hmm.
Superstition, I guess. But I
Yeah.
wanted to play with that. So
Hmm.
maybe is it dead or not? We don't know. I mean, the that version that you have, which is what I really had in mind with that deck, is just to look like that, not with this sorry, with this frames here, especially not with the names.
Yeah, but
So
the
it makes
keywords,
no sense when
no, and
you.
some of the keywords make no sense either. Like you would think for new people, keywords helpful, but those
Yeah,
ones,
but my point is, if you have a book, why would you need keywords?
yeah.
And
No, but
so
it's just like also white borders, they take away from the art, right? So that's why I
yeah,
tuned.
so
Yeah.
that idea that I was that fantasy or narrative that I was telling you about, that it is maybe dead but maybe not if you know French,
Mm,
it's totally ruined here because you already have here death.
yeah.
So what's the point? But
So yeah,
anyways,
my
it is what
version
it
is
is.
better. My version is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I created for it took me like probably 2.5 hours, just to apply baking paper to trim the borders. I also rounded the corners. I don't know if you've seen just tiny little bit rounding, because if you trim, there is a little like white corner left from the borders, original borders. So I had to kind of round the
and I
corner.
and I like the imperfections. Like this image is not supposed to look perfect. It's not actually
Mm.
perfect. The lines are not really straight lines. That's the point. By
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way, what did you do? How did you cover the back?
Well, I use the baking paper, like vinyl baking paper you buy. It's like a roll. And then the first three cards I did more like one by one, but then I figured how to make it quicker. So I used my largest table in the house. I rolled it out, then unpeeled. There is a layer where you peel so the sticky paper is. So this is a sticky paper. And then I put the cards like that. I glued them. I did probably like 20, or maybe 24 at a time. Yeah. So 6 rows of three, like stack them, then cut them, and then use my guillotine, the guillotine, the kind of cutting thing
And you
to,
cut it. You
yeah, and
trimmed
then
it.
use the corner round to, yeah. It wasn't actually, I thought it would take much longer, but yeah.
That's pretty much the look, the final result of what I had in mind when I created the deck. But the publisher didn't get it. Like, we need the names. We need the okay. Just
Yeah. And
go
I
on.
know, like us who review tarot decks, who love tarot, we talk all the time that publishers should have like a group of 10, 15 people that they write and ask for suggestions, like how would you like to see this deck presented and why? And they don't ask. But yeah, so for the backs, I wasn't sure because I wanted to initially use just the black matte. And then I just kind of went with the more glossy
It looks
marble.
like, yeah, it looks like marble.
Yeah.
I like it.
You like it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
and it's I mean it's in tune with the artwork because it's line. I mean you only get two colors here, black or let's say brown and
Yeah,
black. So this is black again. So it's
and
very
also you
good.
see, like I know that you did like for previous the decks that we'll talk about different staining on different backs. Mine, you see, like every back is slightly different because of the.
Yeah,
So
I
that was.
wanted to. I'm actually I made four. I mean I made a back design for that deck, which is not the one that I mean I don't really like this. I'm sorry, I had to say it. That they use actually a card, an artwork that you get to see one of the cards as the back. That's not.
Yeah,
And I made a drawing. It was like a pattern, like similar to the Marseilles with feathers. It was
yeah,
quite simple, and but I made like four or five, and I told them, you know what, I'm at a point. My concept is that you print this in such a way that from every 5 or 10 cards, whatever you want, the backs are different,
yeah.
slightly different.
Mm. Yeah, so Brienne loves and not cooperating. Yeah, mass market
But you
publishers,
know
but
what?
they
You
learn
know what? I have
something
seen a
new.
lot of reviews of this deck, and a lot of people like it, and some people even praise that they have the keywords and everything. So
Yeah, well, same thing. Like when I made the video, many people commented or wrote me messages like, "What are you talking about? I love the keywords."
yeah, I
I'm like,
like it. It's easier for
"Oh,
me.
even
Okay.
if I like keywords, it take away from the art." But yeah, but I think that's the thing. Like once we purchase the deck, it's ours. We can chop,
Yeah.
cut, and glue things on top, right? So yeah, Yeah, so what are they saying here? So incredible death card, Simon is saying, yeah.
Thank you, Simon.
And Genevieve, I love your Tim Person. Thank you. All right, so that was the one that you kind of created first, and then of course Terror des Ambiguités, Terror
Mm-hmm.
of Ambiguities was the first one that was published, right, by Artisan Terror.
Addison
So
Tower.
can you
Yeah.
talk about that? So because it's quite whimsical and very quirky, well, ambiguities, very ambiguous terror. So can you share about that? So what was your inspiration and how did you go about coming with the ideas for the cards of the ambiguities?
Well, let me say that if you're interested in much more information about this deck, there is a lecture of like 1 hour. I'm sorry for the phone
That's
is
fine.
interrupting, but I can turn it off. There is there is a lecture that I did like two years ago when this was published.
Mm.
If you want to get really into the details of this deck, but the idea of this deck behind this deck was like um well, first pay tribute to the Tarot de Marseille and the Tarot de Marseille decks that I like, because if you have studied the TDM, you will, like you say, you like to be a tarot detective. You would see a lot of details, faces, expressions, elements, hands, body parts, or I don't know, from the Via Vil, the Novella, the Convert, the Dodal. Uh,
Madonier very much for me here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put it all together, and I was actually working, but I was doing that digital, so I have nothing to show you here physical. But I
Mm.
was working on this at this something like that, like a TDM, but in my style, because there are so many versions and clones of the Rider Waite, but there are few versions of the TDM. And when I mean versions, I'm talking about artist versions, not recreations or restorations or whatever. I'm talking about artist versions. So you as an artist, you say, this is a TDM. Okay, I'm gonna play with this. I'm gonna have fun with this, with these symbols. I mean, first I'm gonna study. I have studied the TDM. I have studied the tarot whatsoever.
Mm.
And now that I have studied, I can recreate these images in a different way. But I mean, for instance, the full, let me see if I can find it here, because I have all my cards um mixed up.
I've
But
got it. I've got the majors in order, so you just tell me if their
oh,
majors are actually.
perfect. Yeah, I have it here too. The I have images by
Yeah.
my okay. The full the characters have been swapped, have been changed. They changed places, but you get the feeling, you get the direction, which for me is very important when reading. And to say that this is a TDM is that the fool is looking to the right, the main character is moving to the right direction. So you get these two elements, these two characters somehow interacting. One is trying to grab the other one and trying to stop him, like in the original, the traditional depiction. But the only thing is that the characters had been swapped, had been changed. So who is the fool? Is it the beast? Is it the man? Is it the man? I don't know. That's up to you to discover. So yeah, that was my point, to create a TDM, but not a restoration, not a clean version, not a vintage reproduction. I wanted to do something new, like the magician, three arms, like a
Mm.
Hindi god or deity or something like that, because he has three. The table has 3 legs, so he has 3 legs and three arms. So play with all the possible narratives, because also the Tarot de Marseille is ambiguous. When you see the original cards, you don't know if like this is what's going on. Sometimes in some cards, you don't really know what's going on because the image is not really clear. So I wanted to take that idea to its limits. So I wanted to you to see it and
Mm.
say, what's going on here? going a little bit surrealistic. So that was
Yeah, and I love
the
that.
idea behind this deck.
Yeah, and I love that you have to kind of look at the cards and find this, familiar symbols from Marseille tarot decks, like we see, on the pads of the shoulders, the sun and the moon, very
But you,
obviously.
but in, like in the chariot, you get to see that the faces of the horses or
Yeah,
sphinx are those of the Bioville.
real tarot. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not a Frankenstein deck. It's
No,
not.
no, no, not at
It
all. Like
has, I believe it has its own personality.
it does, yeah, and it's very fun to read with as well, to kind of look for the elements. And again, when you put the cards next to each other to see the flow and what are the repeating elements. I found the Hermit is very interesting how the head was replaced
Yeah,
with the.
I don't know how I came up with that idea. I just say, you know what? I'm gonna take the image and I'm gonna what is he's grabbing something? Okay, he's grabbing his head. And
Mm,
then his head, his own head is his own light. So his
yeah,
light is coming from within. I'm wanted to play with that. The light comes from within. Okay, the light is literally gonna come from within.
yeah, yeah. That's very cool. And I will find after we finish today, I will find the link to your lecture. And of course I will link all the links where people can purchase your decks. Yeah, so it was the also very like that's fun for me. It's a fun card. The
That
stained
was
glass.
one of the first. That
Yeah,
was one
was
of
it?
the first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of fun. But I just kind of pretty much flipping. Many people I know that they've seen this tiara, but I'll just share the major arcana. Do you have favorite cards in this deck?
Again, death. I think death is really cool. And
Death.
the temperance also, though, yeah, death because it's this all this foliage, this vines and flowers that you get to see in the minor arcana of the TDMs that are
Yeah.
growing from within
Mm,
of the
yeah.
skull of the skeleton.
Yeah, no, I love this card as well. And you said that, yeah, you kind of point out
Temperance
my.
was also one of the first cards.
Yeah.
The
So yeah, I was
flowing of the waters is even more, it's flowing even more because the idea behind temperance, behind the image, the traditional icon is that she's I don't know if it makes sense if I'm saying it right or I'm butchering English, tempering or trying to, I mean,
tempering, yeah,
there's,
tempering,
yeah, hot
tempering.
water, so she's trying to cool it.
Mm.
So if it flows even more, it will cool faster. I don't know. Something
Yeah.
in my
No, absolutely. Like I'm very much into traditional tea ceremony, like Japanese and Chinese tea ceremony. And for certain teas, because they're very gentle teas, you need to cool the water down. And you pretty much 3 times, you have like your bowls and you put one water and then like back into the other one and always back until it cools down to what you need. So, yeah.
I have a very good memory every time I see temperance card. Because when I was a child and I was going to have breakfast, my grandmother, she the milk was so hot that she used to do that.
Mm.
So I always think of that.
And that's so cool because it's very similar with my tea that we see that same thing in the card, right? So pouring from one
Yeah.
vessel to the other. Yeah. Yeah. So did I show you all? I don't know if I've showed all the majors. No, not all. So we have the devil. Again,
The devil is quite interesting. There is something there that I didn't notice. And Stephen Bright, which is the person that is writing the, oh, he already finished writing the book of, because this deck needs a book, but the book has been through a long process of editing and everything. But it will be ready. I think hopefully in this year.
yeah,
Um, I
amazing.
think it's titled shifters, what we call them. And he detected that there is a phallus element, big
Mm.
phallus in the, and I didn't, I it was not intentional. Like in the tough devil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know
No,
if you get to see it. Once you see it, you can unsee
yeah,
it.
you can't unsee. Yeah, but that's what I like about details. Once that's why I ask you about questions about medieval feathers. Once you point it out, it's actually
But the
way
idea with this card is like there is this hierarchic traditional hierarchy character with the imps, but the imps are now flying. I mean, they're going up,
Mm,
and he's the one who is sitting. And
yeah.
I also like this idea that a devil is an angel that has fallen. So these devils are trying to go back to the original um
Where
heaven
did it come from?
place,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I love the tower card as well, that we have like one character with like bat wings and one with sort of like angel wings.
That's one of the cards. I mean, in the TDM, that's one of the cards that you see that you still don't know what's going on. Are they
Mm,
falling? Are they walking with their hands? Is the fire coming from the tower or from the sky to the tower?
mm,
What was going on there? So I wanted to play even more with that. So
mm.
someone is spitting the fire, and yes, there's an angel and a
Yeah,
angel
we have
wing and a devil wing.
the star is very interesting again. So the reflection of the star is in the water with this head.
Is it her reflection? Is it her head? We don't know.
Mm, true. Yeah, yeah.
I forget now. Um there is a story by William Shakespeare. I think I don't remember the name. I think it's Ophelia, that she was floating on the river.
Oh, that's
So
yeah, that's it. I
yeah,
think yeah,
I
true.
think I kind of unconsciously I kind of drew influence or inspiration, because I with this deck I try not to overthink too much.
Mm,
I said, okay, I'm gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna see the card, and I'm gonna do with this. I'm gonna change the okay, let's do it. Let's see if it
yeah.
looks good, if it is in the same mood of the deck. If it is, okay, that's
Mm.
it.
But it
Then
is yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm gonna to try to explain what I did. I think that's the funniest way to create art is try not to overthink too much. And then if someone asks you, then you look it as if you were not the creator and say, okay, what do I see here? I see this. I see what does this tells to me? What does it speaks to me?
But it's so cool though to talk to you, because even like you mentioned in Ophelia, I look at the card now in a different way. You see, yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Moon
But
cards is
that's the idea with this deck. The
yeah,
moon is also one of my favorites.
but yeah,
It's embodied. It has a like
mm,
a tangible
yeah.
um form, but
And I
she's
love that
still a
you mentioned
goddess.
type one, that the moon is facing straight ahead, not to
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, Taiwan.
yeah,
And the dogs are everything is transforming, everything is mutating. The dogs are becoming
like like
into
Murdochs,
fish.
right?
Yeah,
Mermaid, yeah, yeah,
mermaid dogs or call
Murdochs,
it
yeah,
what you want.
yeah. No, I love that. Yeah,
And she reminds me of Virgin Mary, the Virgin of I don't know if in English it's Virgin of
mm,
miracles, or I don't know. It's just the
yeah,
one that's just casting rays of light through her hands. Um, in this
yeah, and
case,
also yeah, the moon.
it's the drops.
Yeah, because I always associate moon like reflective and receptive, and here with the arms, like she's very receptive.
Mm-hmm,
So with the sun, it's a very creative take on it, but I see an influence of at the top of it. See the influence of Vivil again.
mm-hmm.
Of the yeah,
And I like this that one is on me. The song with the bird,
mm,
like similar to the I don't know, the emperor or the hermit.
yeah, right. Judgment. The wings are very closed, which is really cool. Like the angel.
Yeah, and the angel looks much more like a biblical angel,
Mm,
like this weird creature that has no face, no, it's full of eyes, and is the head of the character that used to be in the middle of the car, that that it has like a tonsure.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's the head of the of the
Mm,
angel.
yeah. The world, so the world is a combination, or the danza is a combination of what we normally see, right? The bull, the eagle, the angel, and what else? Bull, eagle, angel, lion.
lion, yeah. And
And I
then
do
the
love that you
yeah,
included the corners. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. But the dancer is kind of a like a cherub angel.
Mm.
The when you read the Bible, the depiction of such a creature is something like that with different heads of several animals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, with this tarot as well, just very quick, I'll just show you the ace, people, the aces. You also renamed the suits in a way, right? So for the batons, you have legs.
Mm-hmm.
For the coins, you have heads. For the hearts, or for the cups, you have heart, like anatomical hearts. And for the swords, you have arms.
Arms,
Can you
yeah.
just speak on that? Like, what prompted you to make this decision of recreating a trust, right? Recreating the elements or the suit of the minor arcana.
Again, it was I wanted to do something different, to dare to take the the ambiguity of the TDM to another level. But it was not a whimsical. I mean, in my head, it makes all sense. And when you read Steven's book, you maybe will agree with me and him or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, the hearts is pretty obvious. Like cups on hearts, that's I think there's not much to say about it. And
Mhm.
the interesting thing is that it's a mutation. It's not like I substituted the elements because you still get to see some traces of the original element. Like you get to see the base of the cups of the goblets
Mhm.
in that case.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the case of the swords and the hands or arms, I mean, you grab your swords, you grab them with your hands, with your arms, and it's like an extension also of
Mm.
your body, of your arms. And swords are connected with intellectual um, energy. So I think that one of the parts of our body that we use to express that is with our arms. When we talk, we move our hands.
Mm.
We write with our hands. Some people speak with their hands, deaf people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I made that connection, and it all makes
Mm.
sense in my head. So
Yeah.
some people don't get it. Some people don't like it. I get it. I understand that. I respect that. In the case
Mm.
of the legs and the ones, um, again, it also made sense. Like um, the ones are trees, and trees are rooted and
Mm.
rooted in the ground, and we are rooted in the ground with our legs. So I think that earth energy comes through the legs, and
Yeah.
we walk with we move with our legs, and ones are also this suit that moves you, that makes you go, like evolve. I don't know,
Mm.
in my head those are concepts that are like in the same, can be put in the same group.
Yeah, because for me also batons and or wands, batons, rods, I always associate with work, and what we do, we go to work, rush
Exactly.
hour, we run to work, right?
Hmm.
That's for
Yeah,
me like
yeah.
that association I made with the legs, yeah. And then of course we have the heads for the coins.
Yeah, those are not really heads. I mean, are not severed human heads.
No,
They are
yeah.
golden heads. So they are like effigies or statues heads. And
Mm.
you get, I mean, the coins normally have heads.
Yeah, they're
I
more
mean,
like the stamping taking out of
yeah,
the coin. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it was pretty much of a not necessarily a symbolic association, but also um a pictorial or artistic association. But the heads are not. So people say, "Oh my god, I don't like it because there is blood, there is don't think of the heads are real human heads, because
Mm,
they're yellow. They're not white like in the rest of the cards. So they're not human. They are effigies heads.
mm,
And I try to keep like the some parts of the original elements. So in this case, it's the color yellow, and the red dot that you see in the middle of the coin is um it's in the drops of blood, red
mm.
drops of blood.
Different ones, yeah, yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Right, we've been here for a while now, almost 2 hours,
Yeah.
Alejandro. So yeah, time flies, eh? But let's move on to your Rider-Marseille. It's probably the tarot that was mentioned by our friends here in the chat for sure the most. So, what it's one of I mean, I love this tarot so much because I love woodblock style of Marseille, and how you created this tarot is just, I think, is genius really for a deck that can be, I guess, well, probably not the right name, but considered a hybrid in a way, right, of a kind of a integration of Marseille and RWS tarot. But tell us how you came up with the idea of the Rider Marseille tarot.
Well, I told you that I thought that used to think that the Right Away was kind of a naive deck. I never let's say that I never felt the connection with it. So I said, you know what? What if I make it Right Away in the style of a TDM, because I really like the TDM. Maybe that would be a Right Away that I would use. And of course, I mean, I end up using this deck a lot. I never thought I would a lot. I use it a lot. I really liked it.
Hmm.
So so yeah, the concept is pretty much that there exists a version. I mean, this idea of mixing the Rider Waite with the Marseilles. I think it's the Kabuki or Kabuki Tarot.
The
Um,
Japanese one.
the
What's the
Japanese
name?
one, which is
Oh,
interesting. It's quite
mm,
interesting.
mm, mm,
But I was in doubt. I had my doubts because I said, I mean, this is not something new. I mean, someone already did it. But when I saw the images, I said, you know what? Uh, I think this person, this artist, didn't really knew a lot in detail about the Tarot de Marseilles.
mm,
So I said, you know what? I'm gonna make my version. If people like it, that's okay. If not, it's a risk. But the main idea was to make a Rider Waite Smith that I would feel comfortable with it. And I really like it. I like the quirky, weird faces of the Marseilles that you don't know if they're angry or happy, or I don't know. Because in the Rider Waite, everyone is happy. Everyone is like, it's like a dream like
mm.
tarot. But in this case, like look at the high priestess. You don't know if she's pissed off with the world, she's tired of being there, she's bored of reading. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that deck flowed so. I mean, the process was so it flowed so easily, so easily. Like there were some challenging cards that I didn't know. I was thinking, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this card, but I'm gonna put it aside and wait and do another card. And the more cards you do, the more the deck is coming to life, and you get the feeling of the deck. And when that card, like I remember the Eight of Wands, I was like, what am I gonna do with this? And it was just very simple, like put in the Marseille's
Mm,
wands, but respecting the this idea of the right way that they are falling. And you remember what I was telling you about the rivers and the water?
mm, mm.
And here you get to see kind of in this version like the one of the towers of the moon card.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and I love those elements, of Marseille Tierra included for the like Rider-Waite Smith batons.
Yeah, a lot of people like in the reviews. I think it's the two of swords.
Well, I like Five of Swords as well, but yeah. Yeah, show against Two of Swords. Hmm.
Because the swords are just in the middle and you get to see the part of the face of the woman.
Yeah.
I also like it. And the three of swords, the hearts are from the Tarot de Ambiguity, of course.
It's
The heart.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
couldn't
it's
help but doing this heart, an anatomical heart again.
mm,
And a little bit more um intense, I would say, with the instead of water dripping is blood. I think this is the only card that I kind of took like that artistic freedom or liberty to do that.
yeah. And I find also you see like with these cards, the backgrounds are quite dramatic as well, different from the other decks that you created, like yeah.
Yeah, because the Rider Waite has color in the background, so I added the color and it looks even way better. I think it looks more interesting, more
I think
dramatic, or
yeah. No, that's what I love. Yeah, this kind of drama behind the cards. I really like the top figure of the wheel as well, the very Marseille.
yeah.
Yeah. So out of the three decks that we've talked about, which one is the most popular? Do people tell you like which one is the one that they're using most?
I don't know. A lot of people tell me that they use this Rider-Marseille a lot,
Yeah, based on the comments.
but I had seen so many reviews on YouTube of the medieval feathers.
Yeah. I love the art of medieval feathers, and once I modified it, I use it. Before I chopped the borders, I just couldn't. And now, like, okay, that's one of my favorites. But I very much love this one reading, like, especially when I do readings for other people who kind of request RWS or request illustrated deck. They don't request RWS from me anymore, but it's more like illustrated or non-illustrated.
I
Let's
think that the Tarot de San Beguite is not very popular because it's not a scenic card. It's not a scenic deck. Sorry,
yeah.
or
But
maybe
this
maybe people don't like what I did. I don't know. Could
I
be.
think people do, but this one is just so interesting. It requires, reading for others, it just requires a bit longer time probably explaining, but reading for yourself, like I've had so much fun with the ambiguities because I can just like stare, because there's so many like how you changed even, like an emperor, the eagle become like goes to the front, the sun as the necklace, whatever the pendant. Yeah, so those elements when they kind of in relation of the cards with each other, there is more to look at, it's just more not what I'm used to with Tarot de Marseille, but actually, yeah, it reads differently. Let's just see a few comments. Rosalie's library. I love the Rider-Marseille, brilliant blending of both traditions. Alejandro's work is so incredible,
Thank you so
beautiful,
much.
inspiring. 100%. I second that. And Genevieve, I think this way of depicting emotions on the RWS adds a mystery feeling that I could not grasp with the original RWS. Wonderful. Nikki, you've done a brilliant job in mixing and incorporating both tarot styles. Yeah, had to like yeah, you mentioned Nikki that you had to order the second copy. Yeah, and that's
Thank
what
you
I
so
love.
much.
Like many people don't like woodblock style, but many people do too. And I actually always wanted to have a woodblock RWS, this kind of done in the Marseille style. And I also love what you did with the backs as well, because the staining is slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And if you look closer, it's like the rose and I think it's a rose and a lily that you get to see in the magician, and you get to see in a lot of cards of the like in I think it's a two or the two of wands. You get to see those flowers in in the rider weight.
Mm.
And some people like this. Sorry, like this a lot.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention I also pulled on side. Yeah, it's a good kind of tribute, the portrait of Pixie and A.E. Waite. Yeah.
Like
Nikki,
today, I think today was the anniversary of Pixie's birth,
I
and
would it.
some
Okay, yeah.
people on Instagram were posting this card.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
It
it's a
was quite
beautiful.
a challenge. It was quite a challenge to do this one because it's not medieval at all, but try to make it look kind of not medieval, but kind of wood block, kind of Taro de Marseille style
Mm,
because it I think the car makers of 17th 18th century, I think is the centuries when those decks were printed, they had a specific style of making the faces. I don't know, it's something that it is a style already.
yeah. No, it's really cool that you included those. Yeah. Nikki is asking, will you be doing a second print run as your first print was 1,000 copies, and last time I looked, you only had 23 copies left. Which deck are we
uh
talking
which,
about?
yeah, I think is maybe it's a writer Marseille. I think that doesn't depend of me. That depends on the publisher, the artist on Taro.
Zero, yeah.
They're the
And I
ones who
will
are
finish and I
distributing.
will link them all, yeah.
Hmm.
Sebastian is saying that he prefers your work to Valenza, Patrick Valenza. Yeah, but it's funny. His dreams are less crazy.
I really like Valenza a lot, and I think some of my decks are kind of influenced by his work. Maybe in an unconscious way. Maybe it's not like I did it on purpose. So that's quite flattering. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I think he goes way too much. Sometimes.
You see, like with Trionfi de la Luna, I love it, but Deviant Moon for me, the Rider Waite Smith tarot that he did is just too haunting, it just
Yeah.
like creeps me out when Trionfi de la Luna, his Marseille tarot, it's like nice, it's funny, it's quirky,
Mm-hmm.
it's mischievous, it's playful. Yeah, kind of got a bit of satire in it, but like in a good way, in a good dose. And next question, well, thank you. Hi, Sean. I don't think I said hello to you. And that's the next question. We're moving on. Alejandro, your future projects, what are you working on now? And I'm not alone with this question. So,
Well, right now, if you had checked on my social media, I have posted some things of a new, what you called it in English, a mix up, or I don't really know. I forgot. Like mixing two decks again is the Toth
I call it
Marseille.
hybrid, but I don't know. Hybrid?
Yeah.
Blending of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The rider, the no rider, right. The Toth Marseille. Um, the Toth was my first deck, as I told you, my first actual deck, and I thought it would be cool to and interesting, not cool, interesting,
And cool.
like to turn it into the Marseille style. So I've been working on that. The idea is to go on Kickstarter with this deck, which is something that I always wanted to do since I was living back in Cuba. I was checking all the time the Kickstarter platform, and I was like, oh my God, one day maybe I will be able to run my own project in that platform. So yeah, the idea is that to go on Kickstarter with that deck. I have some drawings here, black and
Yeah,
white. I
I
can
would love
show
to see
you. I don't
you.
know where I put them. Oh yeah, behind me.
I'll bring you in so we can all see.
And you will have an idea of how I work because I make this. You see if you yeah.
Hmm.
I make everything in paper, ink. So this is the six of cups and the wheel of fortune. In this case, fortune, and top deck is fortune.
Do you
And
use like a fountain pen?
yeah,
Yeah.
fountain pen. That's what I use. And I have a lot of in my computer. I have a lot of Marseille's decks. If I'm going to work in the Wheel of Fortune, I take all the Wheel of Fortunes that I can. I put them one next to the other, and I also take some cards from um other decks, depending on what I'm looking for to draw. And yeah, so then I take a picture of this, or I scan it, and I take it to the computer, and then I color it using Photoshop. And now I'm mixing Photoshop and Krita, which is another software for coloring, and I try to make this stencil technique that they use to color the the Rider-Marseille decks. So this is another one. Here's the devil. Okay. The devil and the five of cups. I'm working on the suit of cups now here.
Mm.
And I try to do a pip card and a trump card. That's how I go.
Yeah.
So you get to see here the devil. The originally I have my thought here somehow somewhere. So sorry. So you can guys see.
I do love very much that you use pretty much the model of the Thoth tarot, but you use that Marseille tarot style to illustrate
Exactly, just yeah,
this.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
So here you have the devil. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, now I can. Hold
So
on, I'll
you
just
see that
remove.
the stuff in the middle is like an Egyptian stuff, but in this case I added here the sun face because that's faces in the Marseilles is quite common, and also the devil with several faces is quite Marseille. So I added the the face here. Sometimes it's quite of a challenge because the thought is so detailed. It has so many details, and in the this style of artwork, it's difficult to incorporate a lot of tiny details. But I think the result is I like what I'm so far. I like what I'm doing.
Yeah, no,
This
I
is
love it. And you know,
death.
I know that the first time you posted some Facebook group where the people would be open, right, to the Thoth Marseille. And like many people said, absolutely.
I don't know why my camera is having troubles with catching the image in detail. And like this the Thoth cards, they have in the artwork, they have they have, I mean, you see the name of the card, the zodiac or elemental association, which is here, and there is also a Hebrew letter uh that correspond to, in the case of the 22 trumps, the 22 Hebrew letters correspond to the 22 trumps. And in this case, I'm hitting let me see if I spot it. Yeah, here, right here. The Hebrew letter is here. That corresponds to this card, to lust, which is strength,
Okay.
is
Yeah.
here. And in death, I think is here. Yeah. Let me
Okay. So you're kind of
see.
twisting them to find. Yeah,
It's
amazing.
right
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in some Facebook groups, people were saying, "What about the Hebrew letters? Are you gonna put it in like in the name?"
Mm.
And the thought actually has in the artwork. You get to see, like in this case, I think this Hebrew letter is a fish. So you get to see a fish in the original artwork.
Mm.
So in all of the cards, there is the Hebrew letter is also depicted in the artwork. But I say, you know what? Even though you get to see it in the artwork, I'm gonna somehow hide it.
Mm.
And then maybe you can say, okay, let me see in this card, where is it? Let me try to spot it. Maybe that could be fun.
Yeah.
And
Looks
in
like
that
your
way,
deck.
I'm being respectful to the
Yeah.
original concept of the deck.
Yeah. Looks like all of your decks are for tarot detectives, like some little details you need to notice, you need to look
Yeah.
for. Yeah. And I love it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Let me show you this so you get to see.
The wheel.
This is the two of wands and the four of wands, and tradition, and like in the traditional tarot Marseilles, you have the numbers on the sides. This was quite of a challenge
Mm.
because It's not like the traditional, you know, in the thought, the elements and the suit normally they mutate. Like
Mm.
in the four is this kind of wheel, and then in the eight the ones become lightnings. So I don't know. I think it's somewhere here. The eight.
Well,
It's here.
you can just quickly highlight. Sebastian is saying we clearly can see the lines you mentioned earlier, so important for you in this one. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see the beautiful line work, very elaborate once again. Yeah.
So the challenge here is, even though this is quite a modern depiction of a tarot card, make it look old, make it look woodblock, make it look like somehow medieval, or try to make it look old.
Mm.
So yeah, I have a lot of cards already made.
Do you know how many cards you've done already? Have you counted?
I I think, oops, I'm gonna mess here. I think I am half the deck because I am using the thought, and I am separating the ones that I already
Mm.
drawn from the ones that I am still have to draw. So these are the ones that I still have to draw. So I think it's half the deck.
Half the deck.
Half the
Amazing.
deck. Maybe a little bit less than half. So this goes here. This goes here.
No, that's very exciting for us, and maybe it will be. Maybe I need your Thoth Marseille to finally get into Thoth.
Yeah, and that it could be also a way to draw people who like the Marseille to
Mm.
say, okay, let's see what this thought deck is
Yeah,
about.
but like in simplified language, I always kind of was talking about how Thoth is pretty much like a Tarot de Marseille, right? So you have major arcana and you have pips. It's just more they have done and
Mm-hmm.
esoteric with lots of
Mm-hmm.
layering. And I think what your deck will help, even like now looking at the drawings, that because you have such a good eye and you bring the images that I wouldn't notice in a Thoth deck, like little details, you bring them to life through your kind of the how you do the line drawings. Yeah. So when do you think you would kind of do you plan at some well you mentioned Kickstarter campaign. Do you plan for when to launch it?
I think, because this kind of artwork I do it very quick. I mean, depending on my mood and depending on how much I struggle with drawing, but normally I don't. Like everything is flowing because I have studied the thought a lot, so I know all of the symbols. I know everything. I don't. Sometimes I have to go back to a book and read and reread, and just to be clear. But um, I think in 3 months everything will be already finished. Maybe 2 months,
Mm,
but it's not only finishing the artwork, it's also dealing with printer, because this time I'm gonna go myself. I'm not gonna work with a publishing like I did before. Not because I had a bad experience with it, because with Artisan Tarot I have had an excellent experience working with them. I just want to do it by myself. I want to try it by myself. I want to see all the challenges that come with printing your and distributing your own deck.
yeah.
I have got in touch with some artists that have already have done it through Kickstarter. So I'm talking with different publishers. I mean, publishers, no, sorry, printers.
Printers, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on the go right now. So maybe that would take me 1 more month, maybe less.
Yeah.
I am thinking of printing in China because the quality is really good and the price is very decent. I don't want
Mm,
to make the Kickstarter campaign very expensive, because if you fail, there's no point. But now
mm,
with all the tariffs, new tariffs of the president of this country, there is like some uncertainty. I think is the word.
mm.
Sorry if
Yeah.
I'm butchering English.
No,
English is not
that's
my,
no.
yeah. Spanish is my first language, and here in Miami, I speak Spanish. I don't speak English. Most of the people here speak Spanish.
Mm,
Um, So maybe I print here in the USA. I don't know. I'm still working on that, but now
Yeah.
I'm focused on working on the artwork and
Mm.
enjoying this that process because this is something that I really like.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. And Rosalie's library, she's saying you're right. Tarot detectives, part of the fun with the Rider-Marseille is figuring out where the faces and other symbol come from in the Marseille deck. First time I'm seeing live a tarot pregnancy, loving it. Is it more like wanting decks? Yeah, not quite understand this one, Sebastian. Yes, and in terms of like cardstock, what's your preferred cardstock for, let's say, like, okay, you find the good printer for your Thos Marseille. Are you thinking like linen or matte, or you're not sure yet?
Um, I don't. I'm sure that I mean this is really good quality.
Mhm.
The Artisan Tarot. I think this one is linen,
Yeah, it's
but
linen.
I
Yeah.
don't want. I want for this deck, for this top deck, I want it to feel much more like paper, like cardboard,
Mm,
and not laminated. Although it will be laminated, I guess,
mm,
because everything is nowadays is laminated unless you do it the traditional way. But I wanted to good have good quality, like
mm.
the thickness 350 330 gms. But I don't want it try it. I want it to look, I mean, I don't want this like it shines like that,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
because it's supposed to be to look vintage, but I
Yeah.
want it with good quality.
Mm,
So, and I don't want your cards to be like you touch it too much and the colors start to fall out,
mm,
fall off. So, I I think I'm gonna try to do. I have so many ideas. I don't know if I can, um, make them real. Like I would
mm,
like the top deck to be wrapped like the original decks.
mm.
Like the I don't know if you have Pierre Madeni somewhere with the
Yeah,
original wrapping
yeah,
people
yeah,
would.
yeah. If you, well,
I mean, it would come in a box,
yeah.
but it would be wrapped in a piece of paper. That's the idea. Maybe I can't. Maybe it's gonna be too expensive or impossible. You don't know. But I have some ideas for this project. I want also a cloth, um, a bug. Maybe it depends on how the Kickstarter goes.
Yeah, it's like more like the set goals, right? So the basic
Yeah.
one, and if the project is supported, then you can add the
But
extras.
one thing I know for sure is that I don't want I want it to look vintage, and I wanted you to feel that it's paper, that it's
Mm,
cardboard, and that's not laminated, not so much laminated.
yeah. Yeah, you'll probably need to request a lot of samples from them, once you find a good, reliable publisher or printer,
Yeah.
then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. No, but that's definitely exciting, and it's just, yeah, many of us would be excited, and do let me know closer to the date, so maybe we can do another live once you have the colored images to show to people, just before you launch or just after you launch the Kickstarter. Yeah, so I think, yeah, 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours we've been
Well,
here.
I have some other things to show you because you
Go
told me
for
to
it.
show you some artwork.
Let's
Just
go for
quick, if
serious.
you um, I want to show you this. It's is a project in the future. This one will
Okay,
take
so another
much more
one, yeah.
time. Um, I don't know if you get to see it here.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see in detail. It's an écorché. An écorché is an anatomical study of the human body without
Mm,
the skin. So this is something that I would like to develop. I'm working on the cards, taking my time slowly because this one is which is very more detailed as you can see. So it's I don't know if I call it écorché tarot or I don't know, but I don't know if you get
so
the
the kind of the idea is some elements of human anatomy, right?
uh no, it's like the characters are have no skin, like in this case here is her skin but it's under
Okay.
her, yeah, so
So just under the layer of
her
skin. Okay, okay, yeah, got it.
so and you get to see like I mean it's not only just, oh, okay, I'm gonna make them without skin. I mean, in this case, you get to see that the this is the Empress, by the way. She's pregnant, so you get to
Mm.
see that it's a little bit maybe morbid. I don't know. Some people like it, but I don't see it like that. I mean, I see it. I see it much more artistic, and I like this concept of no skin, because no skin, you get to see what is really inside. So that's the idea behind this deck.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
again, this will be maybe in the future, like 1 year or 2 years. I don't
Mm.
know. And
Well, but yeah, it's an interesting idea, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I will finish it. Maybe sometimes I start to do something and then I abandon it for like 1 year, and then
Mm.
I feel like, hey, I want to resume this project, and I go back to that one. And these I haven't showed these to anyone. So I mean, I have posted some reels on Instagram or so, but I haven't really announced
Oh.
anything about this. This is a
And
very personal.
what is their purpose?
Yeah, that's the Popus, the High Priestess. This is a very
Uh,
personal take on the tarot. The light here is not really cooperating.
so beautiful. Yeah, I love it with the owls.
Yeah,
And
I wanted to. I still don't know what name I'm gonna give to this deck. But I
but
wanted
what
to
like
make
what's the
it.
inspiration? What's the concept behind it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
just
beautiful.
I like to play with this concept of the arcana is something that you don't know, that you don't. I mean, it's a mystery. So the
Mm.
faces, if you get see, they don't show their faces. The animals are covering, or in this case, the moon is covering the face. So you don't get to see the identity of the card. Like, this is the Queen of Cups.
Wow.
Like,
No, I love
somehow
this
something
so
is
much.
covering her face,
No, this one is yeah.
and this is the Queen of Cups. So you see, the crab is covering his
Mm.
face somehow.
And he's underwater, like
He's
underwater.
underwater. Yeah,
Yeah, amazing. I love the
yeah.
sun
This.
coming through as well. Like it's just so beautiful. Goodness, you're so talented.
Thank you. Let me. That one will take me a lot of time to
Mm.
finish it, because and somehow I'm focused on other projects, so I'm not giving um what's the word? I'm not giving the proper importance to that one. It's not priority. It's not priority now.
Mm. Yeah. And with your artwork, do you, at the moment, do you only work on tarot or you've got some other illustration art projects that you're doing?
Um, Right now, I'm just working on tarot, but I would like to do some other stuffs, like maybe illustrate a book, but
Mhm.
no one has reached out. So, and yeah, I have some other personal artworks, especially when I used to live back in Cuba. I was quite political, so
Mm.
I made some drawings with certain political things. But I don't have them with me. I'd have to leave them back in Cuba. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, tarot is so big, and I'm working in so I have so many ideas that sometimes I don't have time to do my own art. But I'm okay with that. I'm as long as I'm enjoying making tarot decks, I will be working on making tarot decks.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have well I'll link your Instagram was already actually linked underneath our video, but how do you prefer people to contact you? Because I couldn't find your website. You don't have your own website, do
I
you?
still don't have a website. I am working on that. I want to have it ready for the Kickstarter. So yeah, I don't I don't have a website. I only have the links of my three decks on my Instagram bio. So, and
Mm.
sometimes people are asking, where can I buy the decks? And like, the links are in the bio.
Yeah. Because I'm sure some people would like prints of their favorite cars. Like for me, like, the Temperance card from there, I would like to have a large image. Let's just, before we go, we just highlight a few more comments from our friends here. I love, Rosalie loves that you stay true to the original style. The authenticity matters. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Love the idea of new designs you're working on. Ah, yeah, that's yes, Sebastian, pregnancy again. That was the Empress card from that last deck that you showed, or the last images, last drawings that you showed. Okay, all right, and love the owls. Yeah, me too. This is very medieval. Again, the second one, the second set of drawings that you showed. High Priestess. Love that High Priestess. Yeah.
The High Priestess is normally the card that I start to in a deck. I start to explore the High Priestess, the Magician, the Fool,
Mm. Yeah, and
Death.
High Priestess, I know like many people look for this card, like, to like the deck, you need to like a certain set of cards. Yeah. For me, like High Priestess is important. Celestial cards for me are always important. The star, the sun, the moon. Yeah. And great to be here. Thank you, Brian. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Alejandro. I really appreciate your time and sharing so openly with us. And it was just such an honor and a delight to learn about you as an artist and about your creations and to hear the stories behind your illustrations. Also, thank you to all of our friends here who joined us live and to all of the people who will be, I know that many people will be watching back. Late in Europe, a few people said goodbye, that they will be watching it back tomorrow. And so good evening, good night, good afternoon to you in the Northern Hemisphere. Happy New Week morning in Australia. And thank you so much again, Alejandro. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
I really enjoy this.
Yeah,
I
great.
told you before, this is my favorite thing. I mean, I can talk for hours about tarot and art in
Yeah,
general. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you to everyone who was with us here watching the video, and for thank you to the others who will watch it later. I had a great time. I had an excellent time, as I said before.
perfect. Yes, don't go anywhere. Stay with me for next few minutes, but we'll just say hello
Okay.
formally to everyone here. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. Happy Sunday afternoon, evening, happy new week. And Alejandro and I will see you around on Alejandro's Instagram or Facebook group for Alejandro. For me, it's YouTube, Instagram, all the social media platforms. Bye, everyone.
Bye.